I firmly disagree on this.
Well, I'll be bringing Griffin his homework anytime he needs it because...
We are not going to do that.
Welcome back to Mommy Breakdown. Today we will be visiting the Unplanned Podcast with Matt and Abby. The episode is called Getting Body Shamed and Starting an Argument. So let's grab our beverages and dive in.
I love that he was saying, your kid forgets their homework at school. Don't bring it to him.
Oh, he says that?
Yeah, maybe they're in high school and they're gonna.
I don't agree with that.
I 1,000% agree, Abby.
Okay, starting out a little bit spicy here. Mom and dad are disagreeing on a parenting situation that is hypothetical, hasn't even happened yet, where a child forgets their homework. Should you bring your child their homework if they forget it, or should they face those natural consequences?
Matt, okay,
Honey,
here's why I disagree.
Do you know how success... Okay.
No. Let me tell you why I disagree.
You talk and then I'll talk.
You sound like Ruby Frankie. Your kid forgets their lunch, you don't bring their lunch to school?
That one is different.
Why?
She did not just bring up Ruby Frankie. Come on. That's a strong accusation for just bringing in homework. Come on, Abby.
Because I think food is an essential need. Your homework...
Matt, how many... Okay, I could actually not disagree more.
Okay, I firmly disagree on this.
Well, I'll be bringing Griffin his homework anytime he needs it because...
We are not going to do that.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Here's why.
We'll get aligned on it. Here's why, Matt.
I did want to mention two things that came up. Number one is that we're talking about a hypothetical high schooler, not an elementary student, so that matters. And then secondly, Matt does say... There's a very big difference between bringing a child food if they forget their lunch versus their homework.
How many times have you forgotten things?
I want to let you just talk.
No, this is an active conversation.
I forget things, and you know what happens when I forget things? I deal with the consequences of them.
You are able to go get them. He's not able to go get them. He's not able to handle the consequences of his own. He can't drive.
Fair point. Adults do forget things too. But can I just say how lovely it is to listen to this conversation? Caregivers are not going to always agree. I've been with my husband for over 20 years. We're high school sweethearts. We have 2 kids. I'm an educator. If you're new here, I'm Kristen. And these two feel very opposite right now in this conversation, strong in their opinions. But I feel like they are closer than they think.
So Griffin's a freshman in high school. He's in a math class. Mm-hmm. He forgot his homework, and now he's gonna let's be dramatic. He's gonna fail the class, and he'll have to retake it or something, right? Now, I know that sounds dramatic. I know that sounds like why you're a horrible parent for not bringing your kid their math homework or whatever.
What Matt is explaining right here is what's called natural consequences. It's when you as a caregiver do not interfere and you let the child sit in that feeling that resulted from their own behavior. You let it happen naturally. You don't save them. You don't make it better. It's actually a really effective parenting technique, but when used properly.
I was just talking to my mom about this last night. I was kind of debriefing with her on the Dr. Raymond conversation, and she was telling me how there is a kid, I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a kid that was in my older brother's class that all growing up, my parents always saw that this kid would just disrespect his parents, get away with everything. They didn't really reprimand him, punish him. They always brought his homework to him when he was in school, all that stuff. Now they have a restraining order on their child because their child did not learn to have self-responsibility.
Couple things to unpack in there.
Matt's over here bringing in some anecdotal evidence. He talked to his mom. I think it's great. Gathering data is wonderful. We think about our own childhood. We think about our siblings. We think about our friends and our neighbors growing up. We even look to our peers today if they have children and we go, oh no, not that one. Or, oh yeah, what do they do? All great. We just have to be careful that we're not just gathering anecdotal evidence. There's a lot of research out there to support. In this case, for example, it sounds like permissive parenting, that the mother didn't have any boundaries, didn't have any consequences, didn't challenge the child, and now the child walks all over them, has a restraining order. Pretty serious stuff. I can't tell you for sure if it's permissive parenting because I wasn't there, but the research shows that permissive parenting will lead to negative outcomes. We don't need any anecdotal evidence to prove that. It's already there in the literature.
Disrespect is very different than innocently forgetting to bring your homework. Disrespect would be handled differently and there would be consequences for disrespect.
Okay.
My parents, keep in mind, like, if I forgot something, they would get it for me. I learned self-responsibility.
My parents did that for me too, Abby, but I also learned
Did you learn self-responsibility
I was
still?
very stubborn, and I knew that if I pushed enough, I could get my way with my mom. And honestly, like, I would have been, looking back, I would have been okay more with my mom, maybe even being a little bit more strict with me in those situations.
This is such a great conversation, and I think it's time for us to break it down. Are natural consequences good or bad in this situation? And I don't think you're going to like my answer. It's maybe. It's going to depend on your child. And I said child on purpose, not children, because your one child is going to be different than your other child. Just like one kid's going to excel in math, another kid might excel in reading. The one that excels in math, it's not because they didn't try hard enough for reading. It just math came naturally and reading didn't. Each of our children will have their own skills that they are good at. And it's our job to make sure that our expectations are within the range of success. And if our expectations are within that range, then yes, you lay down that natural consequence because you are pushing your child just a little bit more to grow toward independence. But if you place down a natural consequence and they're missing the skill that's underneath, it doesn't matter. Think about all the people who go to jail over and over and over again. Why are there repeat offenders? It is not because the consequence doesn't suck. The consequence sucks, okay? I've never been to jail, but I'd imagine it's not a pleasant experience.
Forgetting something is innocent. You can't help that. That's something out of your control. I forget things and I'm like, crap. And then I learn, I'm like, okay, next time I can not get in this situation if I do X, Y, and Z. And so I think it's okay if I run my kid their homework and say, next time, let's make sure your backpack is packed the night before so we don't have to do this. If it's something that is like habitual, it's happening very regularly, that's one thing. But if they forget an important assignment or like they forget their cleats for soccer practice after school, I'm going to bring it to my kid.
Yes, yes, yes. Everything that Abby just said. We all deserve a freebie. You mess up. I mess up. The kids mess up. We're all just a bunch of mess ups on a big floating rock in the middle of space. But we have to grow. We have to get better. How do we grow and get better? By teaching and sharpening those skills that are underlying. We're so focused as caregivers on consequences, but we forget that if we just taught them the skills, they could be successful on their own. So when she explains, oh, I'd bring you your cleats or I'd bring you your homework, but we would be like working on packing the bag the night before for the future. I mean, I'm not going to bring the homework and go, oh, darling, whatever you need. I was just waiting around the corner for you to call from the school and ask me what you need. No, I'm going to look at my child and go, hey, that disrupted my day. We can't have this happening. Like, I'm here for you and we work together, but this can't be a regular thing. So what do we need to put in place so this doesn't happen again? And when they're younger, it starts with you pack their bag completely on their own. And then they do it with you. And then they start to do a few of the items independently. Then soon enough, they're packing their own backpack. Then after they pack their own backpack, you're not reminding them to pack their own backpack. Maybe they're setting alarms on their phone or they're putting notes on the door. They have a checklist, all the things so that one day they can do it on their own.
I 100% agree with you. I just think that if you're going to be a pushover as a parent, your child will just,
being a pushover?
Your child will learn to just, they'll just know that anytime they forget something, anytime they mess up, they can rely on mommy and daddy to come and solve their problems.
I feel like they're missing each other, but they're saying the same thing, wanting the same end result. Matt uses the word pushover. I don't want to be a pushover. And a child is more of a gray scale. It's a moving target. Think of a baby when they're crying and the caregiver gives them a pacifier. Would we call them a pushover? Of course not, because you say, well, they need a pacifier. They're not capable of soothing themselves yet. And then they get to a certain age where you go, all right, Bubba, like, I know the pacifier, and then you wean from the pacifier, you give them other comfy items. And then the same thing goes as they get older in school and responsibility. And your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25. So to expect a child to be as independent as what we picture an adult to be, it's going to just take time. You aren't a pushover by meeting your child's needs for where they are. You're a pushover if they're capable of doing something and you're doing it for them.
We need our kids to learn self-responsibility. We need them to develop the self-esteem by tackling hard things in their life and solving them themselves. That way they build up that confidence. I get so confident when I'm able to solve problems in my life. When I see a problem and I'm able to take care of it myself, I feel powerful. I feel empowered. I hate this victim mentality that we have in our culture today where people are like, oh, me, I can't do anything. And I think they're going to be happier and more fulfilled because of that.
I want my kids to learn those things too.
Now,
I just don't think that is taught through not helping them out when they are in a situation where they can't help themselves.
They're saying the same thing. And Matt uses the word confidence. He says, I want my kids to overcome challenges and feel good about themselves. And I think that's great as long as those challenges they're capable of achieving just a little bit harder. And this starts in the home with chores. Kids want roles. They want to feel a part of the team. Think of a child at school when they go to kindergarten and then they get those classroom jobs. Mommy, I'm the door holder. You hold the door? Yes, I hold the door for everyone. And then I make sure that the door is shut because I have to help keep the class safe. That feels good. And if we keep putting those challenges in our kids' lives, we can build that confidence.
Do you think I'm a person that takes self-responsibility?
Yeah, I do.
My parents would always bring me something if I needed it. And I developed trust with my parents through that.
But I will say this, and look, we both have really amazing parents. I want to preface that. We are so blessed to have the parents that we have.
I love my parents so much. They're literally my best friends.
But something that your parents something that your parents did that my parents didn't. And again, I have amazing parents. I love them. They did an incredible job. And also, when you're a parent, you're just figuring it out. It's not like I came with an instruction manual, right?
If you want to hear more, check out the Unplanned Podcast. Thanks, Matt and Abby, for sharing all of that with us. It was so much great content to use as a jumping off point to discuss discipline techniques. And that's what we do here on Mommy Breakdown. So if you're interested, hit the subscribe, and I will see you next time.